Hi, this is Jim Dornberg, Instructional Technology Specialist for the Monroe County Intermediate School District, and in this short tutorial I'll be sharing with you some tips and tricks for using your iPad keyboard. You're familiar with the standard keyboard, but you also have access to a couple of other keyboards, so I'm highlighting in red a couple of keys to keep your eye on here as I click through. In addition to your standard QWERTY keyboard, you also have a number keyboard, and if you'll notice, the shift key has now changed, and now you can get to a keyboard with a bunch of symbols. And now notice again, if you want to return to the number keyboard or to the QWERTY keyboard, you have the appropriate keys that you can tap to take you back to those keyboards. It's also possible to get some international characters or special symbols from your iPad keyboard. For example, if I hold down the A key, I have a number of symbols that I can choose from, and all I need to do is to slide my finger up to the symbol or character that I wish to use. You'll find these on several keys on your keyboard, most noticeably the vowel key. So here you can see I have several choices for the letter E, and for I, O, and U. And again, if I hold my finger down on the key, I'll see several keys pop up, and all I need to do is slide my finger up to one of those, and I will type that symbol or special character. For example, on the number key, if I hold down the $sign, you'll see that I have other units of currency that I can use. So you'll need to experiment to find out just what all of the symbols are on the various keys. I also want to share with you some of the keyboard settings that you have access to. So when I go to settings and under general settings, I can't initially see the keyboard settings, so I have to swipe up, and down near the bottom you'll see the keyboard settings, and they look like this. Now I think auto capitalization should be easy to understand. Every time that I hit an enter key or after I type a period, the next letter will automatically be capitalized, and you can turn that feature on or off with that little slider button. Below that is auto correction. I'm sure you're familiar with this from your cell phone. The iPad has predictive text. As you start to type, it will predict what your word is going to be, and if you misspell a word, likewise it will suggest the correct spelling of that word. You have the option to take that suggestion or to ignore that suggestion. Contrast that with checking your spelling. If I turn that on, that will simply underline words that are not in the dictionary. Of course, I have to manually go back and correct those. If you enable caps lock, that just means if you double tap the shift key, the caps lock will be on, and if you tap it again, it will turn off. But many people don't like to have caps lock because they accidentally turn it on and they forget that it's on. You also have the option of turning on or off the period shortcut. That simply means that if you double tap the space bar after a word, it will automatically insert a period followed by a space for you. Now that's a feature that I don't choose to use, but many people do like it. Next, I'm going to skip down to where it says shortcuts. This is a time-saving feature. For example, instead of me having to type out the words Monroe County Intermediate School District, I've set up a shortcut so that if I type MCISD, the iPad will automatically translate that into the much longer Monroe County Intermediate School District. And they always have a sample one there for OMW, which is short for On My Way. But you can add a shortcut for anything you want. For example, you could type in your initials and it would type in your full name. So to add a new shortcut, you simply tap down at the bottom of that menu where it says Add New Shortcut, and then you'll type in the phrase, and then you'll type in the shortcut that you wish to use for that phrase, and then make sure you tap on Save, and that will be added to the shortcuts library. If you need to edit text, simply hold your finger down over some text and you'll see like a little magnifying lens pop up. In many cases, you can't see where your finger is exactly, so it puts it slightly above where your finger is contacting the screen to make it a little bit easier to see just where you're inserting that cursor. You can double tap a word to select it, or once you have grab points on the screen, you can drag those to select either more or less text. So you can pick a word, you can pick a phrase, you can pick a part of a word. Then you'll see you have a number of choices of what to do with the highlighted text, and these will vary depending on the app that you're using. So the typical ones are there to cut, copy, or paste. You also have sometimes an option to define a word. You can change the font from bold to italicized to underline. You can insert a photo or a video. If you have Siri, it will even read the text to you. It's also possible to install additional keyboards besides the default English language keyboard. So again, on my keyboard settings, you'll see that it will tell you the number of keyboards you have installed. And if you tap on that, you now have the option to add a new keyboard. So if I tap that, I will see a long list of keyboards in the various languages from around the world. And believe it or not, there are 60 languages. So this would be very helpful for teachers of foreign languages, or for those who may have relatives that speak other languages. On mine, I just have the emoji keyboard installed. It's kind of a fun one with a lot of different symbols. Once you have that keyboard installed, to switch between keyboards, you'll tap the globe key once, and every time you tap the globe key, it will toggle to the next keyboard in your list. You could also hold down the globe key, and it will just show you a list of all the keyboards that you have installed, and then you can just select it from that list. So on mine, I have the emoji keyboard, which has all kinds of fun little icons that you can use. If I wish to go back to my English keyboard, just like before, if I tap the globe, it will toggle through my list of keyboards. Finally, under keyboard settings, you have the option of splitting your keyboard. You have a little switch that will turn that on or off. I prefer to type with my thumbs on my iPad. And in portrait mode, my hands are big enough that I can just use it as is. But if I'm in landscape mode, that keyboard is way too big for me to type using my thumb. So I need to split the keyboard. So to do that, if I tap and hold on the little keyboard symbol in the lower right corner, it brings up two options to either undock or split the keyboard. Now, if I undock the keyboard, that simply means I can move the keyboard higher or lower on the screen where it's more comfortable for me to hold the iPad and touch at the same time. If I tap split the keyboard, this is what happens. Part of the keys move to the left side of the screen, the other part of the keyboard moves to the right side of the screen, so it makes it much easier for me to reach with my thumb. So if you prefer to type with your thumbs like I do, I think you'll find this to be a very helpful feature. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me, james.dornberg@monroeisd.us. Thanks for watching.